In this video, I'm going to be telling you how to use your landscape photography composition to tell stories and immediately start taking better photos. Coming up. Hey guys, welcome into the channel where I post weekly videos on how you can improve your landscape photography through in-field and post-processing tutorials, as well as gear reviews. So if you're new here, if you're into landscape photography at all, consider subscribing to this channel. Now in this video specifically, I'm gonna be diving into how you use your landscape photography composition, probably the most important thing you can invest in as a landscape photographer, and use that composition to tell stories. So as landscape photographers, we really need to start thinking about, yeah, we're shooting landscapes and we're shooting beautiful scenes that people love to see, the places that we go and the visions that we see of landscapes, but we want to do that in a way that tells a story of a location. What goes on, what types of things are there, what the weather is like, all those things go into creating a better composition. So how do we do that, and how do we even tell a story through composition? Well, in this video, I'm going to be showing you 3 different examples of completely different landscapes that are going to help you take better photos through composition storytelling. So let's get right into it. The first image that we're going to be looking at is a waterfall. It's called Mouse Creek Falls in Great Smoky Mountains National Park. It's on the North Carolina side of the park, so look that waterfall up because it's a really cool hike to go to, and the end result, this waterfall, is amazing. But basically what we're trying to do here is tell the story of how amazing that waterfall is. And how do you do that best? Well, you do that best by including the entire story into the frame. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, a lot of times, one of the biggest mistakes I see landscape photographers make in waterfall photography composition, or any composition really, is excluding the beginning or the end of a landscape photo. You exclude that initial point of the waterfall, you exclude that very last bottom point of the waterfall, and that in return really communicates this like incompleteness of the image. So you want to be sure in your storytelling of a composition that you're telling the entire story. So look at this photo really. You have the beginning of the waterfall starting in the very back of the image, and then you have that waterfall, that linear curvature of the falls going all the way down into the bottom corner of the frame, where you finally have the conclusion of the falls after it joins up with the river that it's going into. So you have like this multiple tiered part of this composition. The back part is your initial starting point where people's eyes gravitate to. That travels down the water and finally ends up in the bottom corner where all that water is deposited in a little like cascade over a rock. Including that entire story into this image and into this frame is quintessential for creating a better composition. You could easily take like an up and down like portrait view of this waterfall, but I really don't think that it includes the same type of impact as telling the entire story of this waterfall, where it travels over the cascades and the path that it takes to finally end up where it's supposed to go into the river. It ends in a conclusion. You have a beginning of the story, you have a middle part where it's cascading over the rocks, and you have a conclusion at the very end that creates and finalizes the entire story of the image. So try to impact your compositions by telling the entire story of the photograph. Take your initial shot and think, is the entire story being told? Is too much story being told? And then whittle down your composition or expand your composition to try to tell that entire story of the landscape that you're shooting. The second image that we're going to be going through is a trail that I shot with a telephoto lens of a winding path going through the Wicklow Mountains that's southwest of Dublin, Ireland. Now, what is the story being told here, or why are we even caring about this? Well, you're creating a story of, number one, scale, with the pathway going through the mountains. Like, the mountains in the background are enormous, and it's made that way by using a telephoto lens for this composition, really stacking those mountains closer together, creating a larger scene of the background. but then you have a winding trail that looks itty bitty going all the way through those ups and downs of the valley. And then lastly, you have a little tiny hiker, a little tiny person walking through this trail and going into the mountains. So we're creating scale, but we're also telling a story of this trail in particular, because people see this and they're like, wow, cool trail going back. This is a really interesting photo. Well, then you have the opportunity to either write about or tell somebody about, well, this trail was constructed out of wooden planks so that you wouldn't walk on the delicate environment and the delicate flora of this landscape and damage it. So they built a wooden trail going all the way through so that you could hike on the wood and not damage the plants on either side. So you're really telling like this environmental conquest story of the Wicklow Way and how it was constructed and how people can use it best so that they don't damage the environment. You're also telling a story of scale. People are small in this location. Mountains are huge in this location. So when you go there, you know what to expect, you know what to see, you know what to experience. So this also tells a story of excitement. If somebody is going to Ireland and they want to experience the same trail that you did, this story tells them this is going to be an amazing place of large scale, small trails with an environmental impact that's actually positive. So using leading lines like this and scale also allows you to create a storyline in your photos. All right, guys, the third example that we're going to be going through is, I mean, people are gonna see this image and they're gonna be like, this isn't a landscape photo, but really, it is. If you're like me, you know that travel photography, outside, just being outdoors, even if you're shooting something like this, the Eiffel Tower, is going to be an outdoor photo. I consider it a landscape photo. Somebody else might, other people might not. Whatever. I think it's a landscape photo, but we're gonna be inspecting this on how this tells a story of what this landscape is like. Number one, you're at an amazing, famous location that thousands of people shoot every single day. Thousands of people go here and take amazing photos of the Eiffel Tower. How do you construct something that tells a story here? How do you construct something that's unique and tells a story of what life is like around the Eiffel Tower? Well, I think that moving your main subject into a secondary subject is key a lot of times when you're shooting those most famous locations and getting out and shooting places that people go to and visit and thousands of photos are taken every single day. So moving that to a secondary object in the image is key here. So the main subject of this photograph is the carousel that's in the foreground. It's lit, it's where your eyes immediately go. You're like, wow, great lighting. You have complementary lighting of yellows and blues. The sky was very dark and moody and blue, and then you have the yellows and the oranges of the light shining, complementing the blue sky. And then you're like, oh, there's the Eiffel Tower in the background. The Eiffel Tower's here too. That's a really cool shot. So you're telling what life is like around the Eiffel Tower, what life is like to people who live in Paris or go here and want to get on the carousel, of like mood, environment, kids, families, Eiffel Tower, amazing location. So including all of this really helps you tell a better story. You're getting to that initial location of the Eiffel Tower, you're blown away by how amazing it is, but then you back off, you stand there for about an hour, hour and a half, and that mystique kind of wears off. And then you start saying to yourself, okay, where's the better composition here? Where can I go to make a better photo and tell a story of this location that's really unique to it? I'm sure other people have shot the same photo, but it's a different photo than what people normally shoot. So show up to a location, you see it, amazing, wow. Then kind of back down, step yourself back a little bit and really look around an environment and a landscape 360 degrees and work that landscape and the compositions so that you can create a storyline here. Hey, this is life in Paris. Here's the Eiffel Tower. People are around this every day. Here's what they're doing. Guys, take this information and implement it into your landscape photography composition so that you can construct better photos whenever you're going to travel, whenever you're going to amazing locations. You don't want to be the guy who gets back to his computer and is like, wow, this composition is kind of just like everybody else's. Get out there and really inspect a landscape. How do you construct a better photo? By telling a story using it. Guys, be sure to subscribe to this channel for more videos that are gonna help you take more interesting photos, better compositions, better images, and continuing watching is always an option too. If you want more tips on better compositions, click or tap your screen right here and watch this playlist on that. If you want another video from this channel, click or tap your screen right here, or if you want to subscribe easily, click or tap your screen right here.